Hi, my name is Gideon. I'm also known as Gideon Slight. Welcome to my studio, and I'm your creatively fit coach. So join me now. Welcome to episode 11 of my weekly Creative Heart Prompts. I'm so excited to share this episode with you as we continue our journey in exploring some acrylic techniques that you can have fun with in your art studio or in your art journal. So today, my creative prompt for you is to play with any kind of plastic like cling wrap or even a shopping bag, any kind of plastic that you can have a nice large sheet of. And then you play with your acrylic paint by diluting it quite a bit with water, and you place your plastic on the surface while it's wet, and that will create all of these interesting cells or structures on your canvas. So in today's video, I'm going to explore various ways to use this technique to create texture, movement, shapes and patterns in an easy and fun way. And then if you stick around, I'm going to show you guys how I created this page in my art journal, and a large piece of this construction in my art journal with collage has been made by using this plastic and water cellular structure technique. So stick around and join me now on the table as I show you how I create this. Right, I've prepared this canvas in sheets by painting a base layer of Prussian blue. I diluted it quite a bit with water because I really like this denim effect that the color gave me. And then I also sealed it with a layer of acrylic medium. And right now I started by really giving this base layer of paint a good wash with water so that it is very watery and runny. This will assist my movement and cell creation when I place a sheet of plastic on here that I will show you guys now. So whenever you try to use this technique, make sure that you have enough water in your paint in order for the plastic to move it. So as I place it on here, and this is a thicker plastic that I've used here, you will see that the plastic moves the paint and sort of creates these interesting cells that you sort of have no or very little control over. So it really is a fun way to create some structures and shapes on your canvas using this plastic technique. After about 10 minutes, I came back, and this is where I peel away the plastic because it has sat enough time to really stay in the position where the plastic formed it, and then I will just allow this to dry. And if I want to repeat this technique, I would really suggest that you seal this layer with acrylic medium before adding another layer on top. Right, so here is another opportunity for me to show you how. Hi you guys, so welcome to this creative session, and I'm going to show you today how I create these beautiful cellular structures that I created on my previous board. I'm going to show you again another way that you can play with this, and I've prepared this board with a beautiful lavender kind of purple and a pretty pastel yellow. I'm playing with my new acrylic color set that I discovered at the art supply store. So this is Art Ranger's acrylic color, and it's all about the pastels, which I think is quite fun to play with. Now what you will need is your paper or your canvas, and I've just done a little bit of a balayage blend between the two colors. They are opposite colors on the color wheel. So if you look at your color wheel and you have your violet, you will see that yellow is the opposite to purple. So I'm going to now play with a reverse of that. I'm going to play with the yellow on the purple and the purple on the yellow, and I'm going to be using plastic in its variety of thicknesses. This is just a shopping bag plastic that I've cut. This is cling wrap that I'm going to be using. The thinner your plastic is, the more you can manipulate the plastic to create a particular angle or shape. And I use this one. This is just a, what is this called? A medium kind of plastic, 30 micron. I've used this plastic on the first example I showed you, so I know that this will create large cells. So I'm not going to use that one again because I already have that as an example. I'm going to be playing with these two plastics to create interesting structures on this board. So without any further ado, let's get to it. So what you will need obviously is a pair of scissors to cut your plastic. I like to have a bit of water just in a misting bottle, just ordinary tap water, and I also have my acrylic glaze medium, because if you're going to do more than one layer of this technique, which is totally possible, I would suggest that you seal each layer after it dried before putting your next layer on top. And the only reason for that is you're going to be working with plenty of water. So you also need your water and your brushes for this exercise. And yes, that is, I think, what you will need. So if you're using a lot of water to dilute your paint, sorry, I just got distracted there, then obviously that acrylic paint has changed quite a bit because of the addition of lots of water. So adding your acrylic medium then as a glaze over top to just seal that will just ensure that you don't move it or disrupt it, or that it peels off, or that anything happens with the layers if you're going to continue with other techniques on top of each other. Right, so now that we've got the game plan going for today, I think it's time to begin to just mix a little bit of paint. So I've played in this little palette of mine earlier. I'm just going to wipe away any excess color that I don't want to use right now. There we go. And obviously always have a trusty little kitchen towel handy. Right, so I'm going to dispense a little bit of my lavender color over here. I'm going to add a bit of water. I'm going to activate my brush with water as well. Water is really important, especially if your acrylic medium that you're going to be working is a little bit thicker. I find this new acrylic one is already quite liquidy, so I don't have to add that much water to it. And you just need it to be in a good consistency so that you can easily spread the paint over your canvas. I'm going to do that one there. I'm keeping my brush on the side ready to roll. I'm going to be using another brush for my yellow paint, I'm going to do some yellow on the other side. Activate my brush and just dilute this paint as well so that it is ready to roll. Now you could also use just a pipette like this to draw up some water and add a few drops to your paint at a time. That's just another way to increase the fluidity of your paint. Sorry, sometimes I fall over my own words as I try to think and talk and show and tell at the same time, and I do have a bit of a dyslexia that sometimes wants to override how I use my language, and English is not my first language, so sometimes it comes out a little bit different. So bear with me, keep these things in mind, and just forgive me, and just stay with me in the process. So I'm going to put this paints aside. Now have your plastics ready. So this one I've already cut, and I'm going to use the one on this side and the other one on the other side so we can get a very better idea of exactly what this will do. Now obviously cling wrap like this is really thin, so just keep a sheet of that handy so that when you are ready to roll, you have everything at hand. You don't have to go looking for something because you don't want your paint to dry out on you before you start. Now I personally like to just add a little bit of water to my board to just start the process, and I'm going to apply this lavender pastel color to the yellow side of my board, and you can add a bit more water to just give a little bit more movement to your paint. And I'm just randomly spreading it over the section. I'm not looking for a very, pristine cover. So just get that paint moving. Right, you can see that is quite watery. And now I'm going to do the same with the yellow on this side. So we're using contrasting colors to create some interesting texture and movement. Now this is going to be very subtle, it's not going to scream because my color palette for today is quite pastel-y. Now I'm going to start this side with my cling wrap. I'm going to lay it over top, and you can see immediately how the water wants to suck to this plastic. So the minute I have my plastic down, then I can arrange the plastic and push it together, crease it a little bit, and you can see how it structures the paint underneath. So that is my cling wrap. I'm going to use this shopping bag plastic on this side, and first just push it down, and then I deliberately come in and create creases by pushing the plastic together while the surface is wet and pressing down, and you can see the structures and the angles that this is giving to my board. And the same thing is happening underneath this plastic that you can clearly see on this side. So now I'm just going to leave this alone for 10 minutes or so to just really anchor the structures and cells on the surface, and then when the 10 minutes is over, I'm going to come peel this off and show you. So you don't have to wait for this to dry, because it will take quite a long time, especially if you've covered it completely with plastic. It might take a day or two before it dries. It's not necessary. You just want the paint to really have time to gather and to form a structure on your surface before removing the plastic. And I would recommend 5 to 10 minutes before you commence. So let's do that. Right, it's been 10 minutes, so let's pull off our plastic and see what happened on the underneath. So you don't have to throw your plastic away, you can reuse it. It doesn't have to be a new sheet of plastic every time, but you will have to allow that to dry in order to use it again anyway. So we're seeing interesting structures here, and we're gonna just use my hair dryer to dry it because I think we need another layer. What do you think? Okay, so I'm gonna dry this and I'll be right back. Right, so now it's dry and we get to see all the interesting little movements, patterns and cells that the plastic helped me to create. But I think I'm going to seal this with my acrylic medium. I want to add another layer to add some more depth and interest to this whole exercise. So I'm going to be using my acrylic medium now to just glaze this and let it dry, and then when we come back I'm going to try this another time and I will show you how this is going to look. So I'm just going to use one of my brushes that is over there. Here we go. Let's just quickly seal this canvas with some acrylic medium. And another thing that acrylic medium helps you to achieve as you seal layers in between is it really adds to the visual impact. It creates a yumminess to your color. It sort of marries that layer together, and then you have a richer color composition in the end. So if you do a few layers on top of each other, the acrylic medium really helps to bind cohesively everything together. It enhances the color spectrum and it marries everything, so it really has a unifying effect. I'm going to dry this and I'll be right back. Right, this is dried now, and I'm thinking I really want to show you guys more clearly. Not that you can't see this, but I want to go dramatic. So I've decided to go for dioxazine violet because it's quite intense, even though it's a translucent color. And I'm going to basically unify this canvas now with the dioxazine purple, and I'm going to use the glad wrap or the cling wrap over this entire surface. So I'm going to play with a bigger brush just to make my life easier. I'm going to spray this with a bit of water. Remember, this layer has been dried and sealed, so it really is protective. So I'm going to go big now with my dioxazine violet, and I'm going to work fast because I don't want my acrylic layer to dry out on me. And I'm going to go all the way to the edge to unify this layer, so you guys can see it's everywhere. So I'm going to grab my cling wrap and I want a bigger piece now. I'm going to go all the way to that edge forgive me. The one thing about cling wrap that irritates me is it goes and sticks to everything except what you want it to stick to. Right, so let's begin to play with this plastic. I'm going to use another piece here at the bottom. You can also move your paint around a little bit if you want to. I think we're going to get lots of interesting structures now. So again, I'm going to leave this for about 10 minutes or so, and then I'm going to come peel this plastic off and we'll see what we have underneath. So I'll see you guys now. All right, it's been long enough. So I'm going to come and pull away my plastic. Da, 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 da. That is so exciting. Look at all of these beautiful structures that I now have on my canvas. This certainly can enhance my artwork. It can set the tone, give direction, and definitely add a lot of visual texture, movement, pattern, and depth, and even contrast to my artwork. So I really hope that you guys like this technique and that you will try it in your art. I'm going to now try this technique in my art journal. So I'm going to go and grab my art journal because I already prepared a page for us to play on. Right, now that we have played with the technique, we understand how to use this plastic idea. I used cling wrap and I used a previously created background on a jelly print, and I've applied this cellular structure technique twice over this page. First I used a little bit of mint green, I dried it, I sealed it, and then I repeated the process with a cerulean blue, and I also sealed it and allowed it to dry. But you can see the beautiful direction, movement, patterns, cellular structure that this technique provided for this page. I also used the plastic wrap after lifting it up from this page, and I imprinted that on this monoprint that I did on my gel plate, and I thought it created beautiful structures, and I'm definitely thinking I might play with this in today's art journal insert. So I've pre-painted my page with the orange and the red, and again, just for your information, I used these acrylic paints to create these backgrounds, and in the end it forms a nice cohesiveness because these colors are repeated in my other journal pages as we continue to go forward, so it forms a harmony in my page. And as you might know or not know, this is really one of my favorite color palettes, using the corals and the oranges with the blues and the turquoises. So I had a printing frenzy the other day when I got home after printing, getting these paints, and I played with them in my art journal. So I brought this closer so that I have some elements that I can play with. I also went into my scrap bag. I created these little pages out of a little junk journal that I've got. I printed on them, and I just got some little scrap pieces of paper from my scrap bag that I think will work with today's collage. So we will see what we are going to do. So I think to start off with, I need to consider how I want to use today's art prompt in my art journal. And I'm thinking I want to use this jelly print at least as much of it as I can on this side, and then we'll go from there. What do you guys think? So I'm going to tear this out and let's get going so we can see how much of this we want to use. So the print is skewed, so I'm going to have to tear it with my metal ruler and just get a piece of it that I want to use in my journal. And it doesn't have to fit all the way because we can add something else around it. I think the most important part is just to get started, and once you start, you'll figure out the rest. So don't overthink it, especially in your art journal. This is a good time to just see what inspires you, what sparks joy for you, and how it can begin to create interest in your life. Now, I love the color in the background, and this monoprint will blend rather nicely with it. So I'm thinking that could be a great start. I thought initially of cutting this out, so I'm going to do that and then see if I can use it as a focal point, almost in a way using positive and negative space in this print. And I just used leaves from the garden to create a little bit of a stencil effect, and I placed them on my gel print, and this was the first print that I did after applying the leaves to my gel plate, and it gave me a beautiful positive negative kind of imprint on this page, and I think it's rather cute. You see, I throw nothing away because you don't know how you could possibly use this in your art. So let's get that bit off, and I'm going to just go and do that so there's no hard edge. Let me see, I quite like the way that sits. I just want to make sure that it gets into my page. I don't really want this particular thing to cross over. That looks interesting. So I might see, I think I'm going to take this corner away as well. Let's take it away completely. This is the fun part about collage. There's no right or wrong. You can change things, you can come back to it, you can add to it. So don't stress. I think this is a little bit skew for me, so I'm going to do that. That feels better. Okay, so we have a beginning. Okay, so I think I'm going to just pause my video and gather my thoughts so that I don't have to talk and think and create all at once. Multitasking is definitely not my one of my favorite gifts. So right, so I wanted to just mention while I'm adding a final piece of collage here that there's no right or wrong amount of layers that you can add to your artwork, and sometimes it works best to keep things simple, you know. So I just tried something on this page that didn't work for me at all. So I had to rip it off because my choice of glue wasn't the best choice. So that's okay. You can always take it off, or you can cover it up or add another layer. But yes, keeping it simple, and it's okay to stop when you feel overwhelmed with the amount of choices you have, because there is a danger in overworking your page and adding so many elements that you don't have a focus, or you don't have your place in your page where you feel that it's coming together and it is giving you a unified focus. So I've arrived at that stage where I'm actually quite happy with the amount of elements and my color choices that I have married on this page. I think I will let this dry, and then when I come back I might just add a few details with some of my jelly roll pens to just bring in a little bit of focus and detail, and then I might add a final kind of element for a focus or a symbol of some sort, because I'm currently on a symbol journey in my art journal. So I will still decide upon that when I've allowed this page to dry, and then we can see if I'm happy with it. And there you have it. We used our creative prompt for week 11, and that is to create cells using our plastic and our acrylic paint, and we created these beautiful backgrounds. So this was so much fun this week to put this collage together for you guys. This is a combination of various techniques and little pages that I created using acrylic paint. This particular piece in the background is actually wax paper that I use as a roll off page, and it just created such a beautiful acrylic skin in a way. So I used that in the background. So this was a lot of fun, and I hope you guys are inspired to play on your canvas or in your art journal. Remember to take a photograph and share it with me. I'll see you guys again next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye bye for now.